All right, let's dive into Wisdom from My Higher Self. This book by Marcus Lamar. It's really kind of like a choose your own adventure, For personal growth, we'll hit the key ideas from
Yeah.
like practical goal setting to some pretty wild stuff about frequencies in the brain.
It's interesting. Lamar, he doesn't just give like generic advice. He weaves in his own stories, his struggles. Like there's this one part where he talks about almost going bankrupt, like way back when he was first starting his business.
Oh, wow.
And it makes those lessons about financial freedom, well, they hit a lot harder. When you see how he actually applied them in his own life.
Yeah, okay. So right away, we see this isn't just some theory, right?
Right.
Like Lamar's been there, which makes me even more curious to like unpack his insights. One of the first things that jumped out at me was this analogy of personal development. It's like tending a garden.
Oh, yeah. That's a powerful metaphor. Lamar argues that we got to be mindful of the weeds in our lives,
Right.
those negative thoughts, the habits, even people. That can choke out our potential. Just like a gardener, pulls weeds to give their plants space. To thrive, we have to actively cultivate a positive internal environment.
So what does that weeding look like practically? I mean, we can't just tell like that annoying coworker to just disappear.
Exactly.
Right.
Lamar's not advocating for rudeness. He focuses on building up a growth mindset, which
Hmm.
helps us see challenges as opportunities
Yeah.
to learn. Instead of getting stuck in that fixed mindset that's afraid of failure, he shares this great story about how he totally bombed his first public speaking event.
Okay.
But instead of giving up, he, analyzed what went wrong, practiced like crazy, and eventually became the sought-after speaker.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It shows how like a growth mindset can really turn those setbacks into like stepping stones. But mindset, that's just one piece, right? The book also dives into some really practical goal setting strategies,
Yeah.
including that classic SMART goals framework.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lamar, he emphasizes that those vague goals, like be more successful, they're useless. He argues for setting smart goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. He even gives this example of how he used this framework to build multiple streams of passive income, broke down this like huge, overwhelming goal into manageable steps.
That's so smart. It reminds me of another productivity hack from the book, the 80-20 rule. Can you remind us how that works?
The 80-20 rule, also called the Pareto principle, it suggests that 80% of our results come from just 20% of our efforts. Lamar uses the example of streamlining his business. He identified the 20% of tasks that generated the most revenue, and then he delegated or eliminated the rest. It's about focusing on high-impact actions instead of, spreading ourselves too thin.
Yeah, I think we've all been guilty of that, trying to do too much at once. So the 80-20 rule, it's about working smarter, not harder. But let's be real. Even with the best strategies, procrastination can still creep in. What are some of Lamar's anti-procrastination weapons?
He's a big fan of the Pomodoro technique, working in focused bursts, 25 minutes, followed by a short break. This can be really helpful when you have, a daunting task. He also talks about the power of accountability, sharing how joining a mastermind group helped him stay on track with his writing goals.
That makes sense. Having that external support could be a game changer when your motivation dips. But it's not all productivity and hustle, right? The book also spends a good amount of time on relationships and communication.
Yeah. Lamar argues that communication is like the foundation of any successful relationship, whether it's your partner, family, or like a business associate. He even breaks down how he rebuilt trust with his business partner after a big disagreement, showing the power of active listening and open dialogue.
That's a good reminder that even in tough situations, clear communication can really bridge the gap. But relationships aren't always, easy. Does the book give any advice on handling those inevitable conflicts?
It does. Lamar emphasizes separating the person from the problem. Instead of getting caught up in blame, he encourages focusing on, the root cause of the conflict, finding a solution that works for everyone. He even shares a story about a time he almost walked away from a lucrative business deal because of a communication breakdown.
Oh, wow. That must have been a tough call. It sounds like his emphasis on clear and empathetic communication, it applies to everything, not just personal relationships.
Exactly. And speaking of emotional intelligence, Lamar doesn't shy away from those tougher emotions we all face,
Yeah.
like stress and negativity. He's a big believer in self-awareness, recognizing those negative thought patterns before they spiral out of control.
Yeah, I'm picturing myself like hitting a mental pause button
Yeah.
when I start down that familiar path of self-doubt.
Hmm.
But how do we actually shift those negative thought patterns? Does Lamar offer any strategies?
Oh, he does. He's a huge fan of positive affirmations. He argues that consistently repeating phrases like "I am capable"
Hmm.
or "I am worthy," it can reprogram our subconscious minds. He even provides specific affirmations for overcoming self-doubt, building confidence, and attracting abundance.
Okay, I am ready to start scripting my own positive affirmations. But enough about the mental stuff for now. Lamar also gets into some interesting health and wellness concepts, including the controversial Dr. Sebi in his alkaline diet.
Yeah, Dr. Sebi was a Honduran herbalist. He advocated for a plant-based diet and eating electric foods, which he claimed could cure various diseases. Now, the mainstream medical community, they questioned his methods. But his approach to natural healing gained a pretty devoted following.
It's definitely an interesting perspective, even if it's outside the conventional medical norm. Lamar doesn't endorse all of Dr. Sebi's views, but he does highlight the importance of exploring different approaches to health and wellness.
Absolutely. And speaking of exploring different perspectives, the book also mentions the Forks Over Knives documentary, which advocates for a whole food, plant-based diet. Lamar summarizes the film's key arguments, suggesting that a plant-based diet can potentially prevent and even reverse chronic diseases, like heart disease and type 2 diabetes.
Now, I'm all for eating more veggies, but I am curious about the science behind these claims. Does Lamar get into the research at all?
He does. He cites studies and insights from plant-based advocates like Doctors Alona Pulde and Matthew Letterman. They were featured in the documentary. He also acknowledges that dietary choices are personal, and he encourages readers to do their own research and consult with, healthcare
That's
professionals.
a responsible approach, especially with all the conflicting information out there about nutrition. But hold on, because Lamar doesn't stop at plant-based diets. He also explores the potential health benefits of marijuana and CBD.
Yes. He dives into the differences between THC and CBD, highlighting their distinct effects on the body and mind. He specifically mentions CBD's potential for managing conditions like anxiety, chronic pain, and even epilepsy. He even gives a list of reputable CBD brands and products, emphasizing the importance of sourcing high-quality, lab-tested CBD.
Okay, this is getting really interesting. I'm sensing a theme here. Lamar seems to encourage an open-minded, evidence-based approach to exploring, you know, alternative health options, whether it's diet, herbal remedies, or even, cannabis-derived products.
You got it. And speaking of alternative therapies, he also touches on the world of biofeedback.
Now, biofeedback is something I've always been curious about. Can you give us a rundown of how it works?
Sure. So biofeedback uses electronic devices to measure physiological responses like your heart rate, muscle tension, even brain waves. By becoming aware of these responses, you can learn to consciously control them. Lamar shares an example of how he used biofeedback to manage his performance anxiety before big speaking engagements.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like having a real-time window into your body's stress responses and then learning to, like, hack the system. This opens up a whole new world of possibilities for managing stress and improving, well, everything.
It does, and it's a perfect example of how Lamar blends these seemingly different topics, from personal development and emotional intelligence to health and technology into this cohesive framework for self-improvement.
Okay, my brain is officially buzzing with all this information.
Yeah.
But before we go even deeper, let's...
We're back, and I'm really eager to dive into more of Lamar's unique approach. It's his blend of personal development strategies and these intriguing concepts. He really pushes the boundaries of what we typically think of as self-improvement.
Yeah, I totally agree. So far, we've covered so much, from practical productivity hacks to alternative health, all with this underlying theme of, like, tapping into our inner wisdom. Where does Lamar take us next on this journey?
Well, he kind of shifts gears and explores the concept of leadership, but it's not just about, climbing the corporate ladder or managing a team. He frames leadership as taking ownership of your
Yeah.
life, setting a vision, and inspiring others through your actions.
I love that. He expands the definition of leadership beyond, like, those traditional roles. So
Oh.
how can someone who's not, a CEO or politician, how can they embody this kind of leadership in their everyday life?
He gives this great example of a single mother. He knew her personally, and she was struggling to make ends meet. She decided to start a small catering business from her home, not just to, improve her finances, but also to inspire her kids to pursue their dreams. She became a leader in her community, not because of a title, but because she took initiative. and
That's
created positive change.
that's a powerful example. It shows that leadership can emerge anywhere, even in tough situations.
Yeah.
But Lamar doesn't just talk about the why of leadership, right? He also gets into the how,
Yeah.
like how to actually be an effective leader.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He breaks down like those essential leadership qualities: communication, empathy, the ability to inspire and motivate others. He emphasizes building trust. It's crucial for any leader. He shares a story about a time he lost the trust of his team and had to work really hard to rebuild it.
Transparency and accountability. Those seem like key themes here. But in today's world, with everything changing so fast, are those traditional leadership qualities, are they enough? I feel like technology is disrupting everything, including how we work and lead.
You're hitting on a crucial point. Lamar addresses how technology is reshaping the job market and the skills we need to thrive. He even goes as far as saying that in some fields, technical skills, they're becoming more valuable than traditional college degrees.
Wait, really? So someone who's like a coding whiz, they might have an advantage over someone with a fancy MBA.
In certain sectors, yeah, definitely. Lamar argues that mastering those in-demand tech skills like cloud computing, AI, cybersecurity, it can open doors to high-paying, fulfilling careers, even without a traditional four-year degree.
Wow, that's a game changer. It makes me want to like dig out my old coding books. But does he completely dismiss the value of soft skills?
No, not at all. He emphasizes that while technical skills are essential in our, tech-driven world, those soft skills like communication, collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking, they're still highly valued by employers. He argues that the ideal is to blend technical expertise with those human-centered skills to become, a well-rounded professional, someone who's adaptable.
So it's like he's saying we need to be both tech savvy and emotionally intelligent
You're
to navigate like the future of work. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's switch gears a bit. Talk about something that's on everyone's mind, finances. Lamar, he doesn't shy away from money matters. He actually dedicates a big chunk of the book to achieving financial freedom.
Yes. He breaks down those complex financial concepts into clear steps, things you can actually do. He starts with the fundamentals, understanding how money works, emphasizing budgeting, saving, managing debt. He even has a step-by-step guide to creating a budget that aligns with your financial goals.
So before we even think about investing or building wealth, we got to get our financial house in order. Sounds like solid advice. But once we have that foundation, where does he suggest we go from there?
He encourages readers to explore multiple avenues for growing wealth, both, traditional and unconventional. He covers everything from investing in stocks and bonds to real estate, entrepreneurship, and even the world of cryptocurrency.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. Let's start with the basics. When it comes to like traditional investing, what kind of advice does he give?
He really stresses understanding your risk tolerance and investing for the long term. He dives into compound interest, using a simple example to show how even investing a small amount regularly can lead to significant wealth over time. He even shares a story about how he missed out on a major investment opportunity early in his career because he didn't fully get compound growth.
Yeah, that's a lesson I think a lot of us can relate to. It really highlights how important financial literacy is. But Lamar doesn't stop at traditional investments, right?
Yeah.
He also gets into real estate.
Yes, he does. He provides this detailed overview of different real estate strategies, from buying rental properties to flipping houses to wholesaling. He even gets into the details of analyzing cash flow and evaluating deals. He shares his own experience too, including a time he almost lost everything on a risky property flip.
So he's not just talking the talk, he's walked the walk, which makes his advice even more credible. But real estate, it's not for everyone. What about those who are more interested in, the fast-paced world of cryptocurrency?
Lamar dedicates a whole chapter to blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. He explains how blockchain works, its decentralized nature, how it underpins cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin.
Okay, confession time. I've always found blockchain and crypto a little bit intimidating. Can you give us like a simple analogy to help us understand this concept?
Okay, imagine a digital ledger that's distributed across a network of computers, making it virtually impossible to tamper with. This ledger records all transactions securely and transparently, so you don't need those intermediaries like banks. That's the essence of blockchain.
Okay, that actually makes a lot more sense now. So blockchain is the technology and cryptocurrencies are built on top of it. But what about the practical side? Does Lamar offer any guidance on actually investing in crypto?
He does. He provides an overview of different crypto exchanges, wallets, trading strategies. He emphasizes doing your own research, understanding the risks, and only investing what you can afford to lose. He even shares his own crypto journey, the highs and the lows.
It sounds like he's advocating for a balanced approach to crypto investing, which is refreshing to hear, amidst all the hype and speculation. But Lamar doesn't just focus on building wealth, right? He talks about protecting your assets, too.
Absolutely. He has a chapter on estate planning, explaining why it's important to have a will, setting up trusts, understanding life insurance options. He emphasizes that estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. It's about ensuring that your loved ones are taken care of and your wishes are honored, no matter your net worth.
That's a crucial reminder. It's easy to put off estate planning, but it's really about taking responsibility for our financial legacy. But with all this practical advice about money, Lamar doesn't lose sight of the bigger picture. He reminds us that true wealth, it's more than just dollars and cents.
All right. He argues that true wealth includes our health, relationships, our purpose, our overall well-being. He even shares a personal story about a time when he achieved, great financial success. But he felt unfulfilled because he had neglected other areas of his life.
It's a powerful reminder that money it's a tool, is how we use it and what we prioritize in life. That truly matters. But speaking of expanding our perspective, Lamar takes us on a fascinating detour into some pretty mind-bending concepts in the next part of the book.
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting. He dives into frequencies, the idea that everything in the universe vibrates at a certain energy level, including our thoughts and emotions.
Okay, now we're venturing into territory that's a little outside my comfort zone, but I'm definitely intrigued. Let's explore these more esoteric concepts in part 3 of our deep dive. All right, so we're back, ready to explore some of those more unconventional ideas from wisdom from my higher self. Before the break, you were talking about how Lamar gets into this whole concept of frequencies and how they connect to our well-being. I got to admit, this is kind of out there for me, but I'm open to it.
I like that attitude. Lamar's argument is that everything in the universe, even our thoughts and emotions, our bodies, everything vibrates at a certain frequency. And he suggests that if we, expose ourselves to specific frequencies, we can actually shift our own vibration, and that can influence our well-being.
Okay, so I'm imagining those like sound healing videos.
Yeah.
Tibetan singing bowls and crystals. Is that kind of what he's talking about?
Yeah, that's one example. He talks about how certain sounds, certain types of music, even colors, they can give off specific frequencies. And those frequencies resonate with our energy centers. And that can promote healing, relaxation, maybe even boost our creativity. He's also big on the power of nature. He suggests that spending time in nature can help us align with those, more harmonious frequencies.
So, if I'm feeling stressed, a walk in the woods could be just what I need to reset my inner vibes.
Exactly. Lamar even tells the story about how he got over a creative block by spending a whole week in a remote cabin surrounded by nature. He really believes that when we immerse ourselves in nature's frequencies, we can tap into something deeper, more inspiration, more well-being.
I love that.
Yeah.
Makes me want to book a nature retreat right now. But Lamar doesn't stop there. He also talks about chakras, those energy centers in the body that are like a big part of Eastern healing.
Right. He explains how each chakra connects to certain emotions, colors, even physical functions. He believes that when our chakras are balanced and the energy's flowing, we experience optimal health. He even gives some techniques like meditation and visualization to help people balance their chakras.
Okay, I'm definitely going to have to go back and reread those chapters on chakras and energy work. But Lamar doesn't shy away from even more, I guess you could say, out there concepts like remote viewing. I got to admit, I'm a little skeptical, but also super fascinated by this idea.
It's definitely one of the most intriguing and controversial topics he covers. Lamar describes remote viewing as the ability to perceive information about a distant or unseen target, using only your mind. He even suggests that this was studied by the U.S. government, for intelligence gathering.
I mean, are you serious? The government was researching psychic spies? That sounds like a movie plot.
It is pretty wild. Lamar even describes this technique using something called the energy bar tool to access altered states of consciousness and supposedly enhance those remote viewing abilities. He says it takes practice, discipline to develop this skill, but he believes it can expand our awareness beyond, our normal limits.
Okay, my mind is blown. I'm picturing myself channeling my inner psychic. But even if we don't all become expert remote viewers, Lamar's exploration of these unconventional concepts really highlights this big theme throughout the book, the power of our minds to actually shape our reality.
Exactly. He really encourages readers to question their assumptions about what's possible, to be curious about the nature of reality. He argues that by expanding our awareness, tapping into our intuition, we can unlock hidden abilities, create a more fulfilling life.
Yeah, it's like he's giving us permission to explore those edges of human potential, embrace the mystery. But even with all these mind-bending concepts, he always brings it back to that core message of personal growth and taking those practical steps toward our goals.
You're right. Lamar's book isn't just about like far out ideas, it's a call to action. Become the architects of our own lives. He challenges us to really know our values, set clear intentions, and consistently take action toward the life we truly want.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into wisdom from my higher self, I want to leave our listeners with one last thought. This book is it's packed with wisdom. It offers practical strategies, inspiring stories, mind-expanding ideas, but the real magic happens when you take those ideas
Yeah.
and apply them to our own lives.
I couldn't agree more. Wisdom from my higher self it's an invitation to embark on this journey of self-discovery. Tap into our inner wisdom and create a life that is both, fulfilling and purposeful. It's a reminder that we have the power to shape our reality, overcome challenges, become the best versions of ourselves.
Absolutely. If you're ready to explore that path, we highly recommend checking out Wisdom from My Higher Self by Marcus Lamar. And remember, personal growth is a journey. So embrace it, stay curious, and never stop seeking knowledge.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep shining your light.